Baby Cross. Hi, my name is Anna.
And I'm Peyton.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back with the next episode of our debut versus recent analysis series. And we will be looking at another boy group. This time, we will be looking at BtoB and comparing their debut music video, Insane, with their most recent music video, Beautiful Pain. I can't say the Korean names.
So it's 비밀 versus 아름답고도 아프구나.
Thank you.
BtoB is a seven-member group that debuted in the beginning of 2012 under Kpop Entertainment. Their most recent release is actually from 2018, but that's because starting around that time, members started doing their mandatory military service, and currently there are still some members away for that. So it's just been a long hiatus period. But they are technically all still together as a group. And they've been doing solo promotions as well. But Peyton, what is your experience with BtoB?
So I was introduced to BtoB in the summer of 2016 because they are one of my former roommate's ultimate K-pop groups. And she was like, you have to love them too! And I do love them. Ever since then, I have considered myself a fan of BtoB, but it's more of a passive, I will always listen to their music, I watch all of their variety content, but it's not always necessarily the day that it comes out. But I always know that it's going to be wonderful, amazing, super entertaining, and my bias is Yukseongjae. Anna, what about you?
I'm gonna sound old again. So I remember watching the BtoB debut teasers when they came out, and watching their debut music video the day that it came out, way back when. I was a super big melody right around their debut for the first couple of years, but as time goes on, it's become more of a passive thing like Peyton. So while I do listen to their songs and watch them on variety shows, it takes a little while for me to get around to it. And also BtoB has become more of a group where I just listen to their songs but not necessarily watch the music videos anymore, if that makes sense. And bias. BtoB is one of those groups where I never actually had a bias, because at debut it switched between Seungjae and Ilun just because they were the youngest, but then Pineo because he was the English speaker, but then as I got older I started liking the older members. So really, I don't know.
Like always, if you are joining us on this episode of the series, then there is a short description of how we chose the groups and how we'll be doing our commentary in the description box down below. But if you want the full-winded, very drawn-out, complete explanation of how we chose the groups and how we'll do our commentary, that is in episode 1.
Alright, that being said, let's go with Insane. 비밀. Wait, I just realized, is this music video the one that Chorong is in?
Is it?
Yes, that's right. I remember. Oh, it was so angsty.
I know!
I remember my friends and I at lunch in middle school when this came out, we would talk about this music video.
Wow. Wow.
You look so young. Okay. Yeah, we would talk about it and be like, oh my god, they're using strings in a K-pop debut song.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually don't know if I've ever seen this.
Are you serious?
Because, I've heard the song and I've seen the live stages, but I was introduced to the group so many years after it came out.
Give me so much pain.
Wow.
Wow.
There's something about a broken piano that is very heartbreaking.
Wow. Oh, I remember I had a friend who was in love with Minhyuk. Then again, who isn't? So
that's true.
Sorry.
Oh, the tears.
I'm literally having middle school flashbacks while listening to this.
Makes me feel old.
And remembering how much I used to listen to this song, actually.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Piano key. Oh my.
Whoa.
I have another friend who used to do this at 노래방 so much in middle school.
Wow.
BtoB 비밀. So the reason why I included the thing in the beginning of I listen to BtoB songs now more than I watch the music videos is because I know that I haven't seen this before. So
we're both one for one.
Yeah, I feel bad. Oh. Sorry, doing this video has made me remember how much I love Im Hyun-jik.
Who doesn't though?
I'm like turning red. Wow, okay, stop. That run was beautiful earlier.
말하고 있어 막연한 보답 아픔을 피해도 다른 아픔을 만나 옆에 있던 행복을 못 찾았을까 너를 보내고
I
얼마나
feel bad, we're like very silent.
This is a very serious music video.
I know, but I just like, you know. Oh, the break.
It's interesting because both music videos are like angsty, but in very different ways.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're older now. Strings. They also both have strings.
Love them pain. Yeah, lesson from my mistakes. 우린 실패로부터 성장해. 사랑은 하고 싶지만 nobody wants to deal with the pain that follows. No, I understand them, though. Yeah, 이해돼. 사랑이라는 게 매롭게 하던 게 이제는 매일 괴롭게 해.
I really like the guitar line in the back.
But that's why it's called Beautiful Pain.
It's like the sand from inside the hourglasses. All that symbolism with him laying down on the track. Oh.
앞에 못 들어가 그대를
Oh my gosh, sorry. All I ask for in K-pop songs is a baritone. That's all I ask.
Me
too.
아름다웠길 바란다 사랑을 만나 이별을 하고 수없이 많은 날을 울고서다 시간이란 건 순간이란 게 아름답고도 아프구나
It's such an abrupt ending.
Disclaimer, if you hear any weird audio on my side and noise, my parents are doing kimjang downstairs today. So,
And disclaimer, if you hear any weird audio noise on my side, my baby nephew's here. So there may be random screaming.
so should I just get straight to it? Just getting the obvious out of the way. It's like, yeah, they're known as a vocal group for a reason. Like, even their rappers can sing. We get it. You're talented. To talk about their vocal growth, though, I'm mainly going to just talk about a few specific members for the sake of time. Obviously, the whole group has grown, like we say for every single group. They become more stable in their live vocals and they improve because they just like get more stage experience. When you talk about a specific member who has grown vocally in BtoB, people usually automatically think of Seungjae, and I mean, like, that's very much true. He's grown a lot. And it's like this for a few other members in BtoB too. The parts that he sings are not in his natural range. What I mean by that is, like, Seungjae is naturally a baritone. That doesn't mean that they can't be trained vocally to sing those notes. It's just like where you sound most comfortable and like without any training, your basic range, he is a baritone. If you watch his King of Masked Singer performances, he has a beautiful lower range because he is a baritone. However, especially in more recent years, as he got more popular individually because of like doing more variety shows and like acting, and the general Korean public knows him very well as an individual, that translated into BtoB songs, he would get more of the main parts, like chorus parts. And in K-pop, chorus parts are always written for tenors. Seungjae is not naturally a tenor. So that's one thing that he's kind of had to adjust to, because he was given those parts before he was given the opportunity and time to properly train for it. So like in the first few initial years of BtoB, you see his growth and like stability in live vocals in the parts that he's given, and then it looks like he pulls back because he's given the more like chorus tenor parts, and then he has to like train and grow into that again. But then the other comment that I had for vocal growth, the other person that I wanted to point out was, I actually think that the person who has grown the most since debut for live vocals is Changsub, which I know sounds really weird, but hear me out first, please. Okay, so like we get that he was a really talented vocalist at debut right off the bat, but I'm talking specifically about live vocals. I think Changsub is more of a tenor too, and he has to focus a lot on his technique to sing as high as Eunkwang does. Oh, I should probably say this. Tenor is the highest male voice part, and if you subdivide it, tenor 1 is higher than tenor 2. And Eunkwang is a true tenor 1. Like, that's just like where his voice comfortably is, and like he's trained to sing even higher than that. And like he obviously has learned that technique, but I felt like, especially at their debut, for those live stages, sometimes he might get a little too excited or would like try to seem more 멋있어 or something, and the stylistic choices, like the riffs or runs or like diction that he would do, would take away from his live vocals. And more often in their early years, some of those stylistic choices, it would like cause his vocals that are comfortably in his range, not like the super high notes where he has to like really focus and work hard on those, but things that are comfortable for him, even that would sound not quite right, or would like be a little bit pitchy because of the stylistic choices that he was focusing on too much. But now that they're older and have more experience, I think he's really learned how to like play with it more, maybe tone it down a little bit. And like just to talk about like how he focuses on his technique really to sing those higher notes, Beautiful Pain was also a good example of that. There's this one live performance that they did, not for a music show, but it was like a YouTube thing. Towards the end, there's like this duet high note that he and Hyunjik do, and it focuses in on his face during the high note, and you can see how he's focusing on the technique and like in his face, how he's adjusting inside his mouth to sing that higher note, because he has to sing the higher of the two notes for the duet high note. I believe he's singing the higher one, but then when Eunkwang was there with the duet high notes, he's usually singing the lower one. So like how he focuses in on that technique. I just talked a lot and I rambled a lot, but that's all I had to say for vocal growth. Peyton, your turn.
Okay, well, unlike Anna, I don't have a lot to say for dancing because BtoB is known more as a vocal group, especially as they have grown over the years. And, you know, there's a good number of BtoB title tracks where they're just dancing or standing with a mic and, like, very limited movement. So I don't have a ton to say, but there are a couple of things. So first, for their more dance-heavy pieces, there has been a little bit of a transition because the debut stage, specifically like Insane's dance, has all of the elements and style of a 2012 boy group debut dance. And even with their first comeback, BtoB's choreography had already started changing to fit more of their style anyway. And similar to what I actually said about another more vocal-heavy group that we did in the series Mamamoo, a lot of their dances tend to be a lot more musical style, where they're really dancing in their box rather than a lot of movements back and forth or a lot of big movements, because they are saving their energy, saving their like breath, lung capacity for singing. So it makes sense that they're not doing these huge like dance breaks and stuff in every single one of their pieces. But honestly, more often than not, BtoB really is not dancing all that much. A lot of their songs, especially as they've gotten older and have really leaned into that like more like vocal group, ballad group image, have included very minimal choreography. But because of that, their dancing has gotten a lot more expressive. Like they are able to express just through very minimal movements, through like a sway with a mic stand or a head turn all at once. They've had to focus a lot more on conveying emotion through what little they are given, because the focus for their songs has really become on conveying these emotions through their voices and through the music. And the dances are just there to add like the little sprinklings on top that really like drive the point home, rather than for a lot of K-pop groups, the focus is really like, how big can we make this performance? BtoB chooses more to wow you with their vocals and their emotions. So yeah, I really don't have a lot more to say than that. Like the change has really just been that they have really honed in on those like small movements and what they can convey.
We can move on to performance.
Okay, cool. I have more to say for that anyway.
All right, so performance. Facials. No, but actually facials.
No, but actually facials.
Right? And that really ties into like what you were just saying
Yeah.
for dance, like conveying emotion and such.
Yeah, like we always joke about how facials get better, but like we do mean it,
Mm.
especially with BtoB.
Yeah.
And I was telling Anna this before. One thing I noticed, especially when I was watching the debut live stages and the Beautiful Pain live stages to get ready for this video, is how much they have gotten good at projecting introspective feelings, because so many of their ballad songs are about these like, they're reminiscing or they're being introspective or they're like feeling something inside. When you're doing those facial expressions, it's very easy to close your face off and almost look stone-faced and like you're not feeling anything. And that definitely is something that you can do if that's the concept that you're going for, but it would get very boring very quickly if you were doing ballad after ballad and every single one was just, I'm so sad. But instead, they have learned how to project those introspective feelings through, a lot of it is through their eyes, to be completely honest, or like a slight like movement of the mouth. It's just so interesting. It's the details. They're very detail oriented.
And another thing that you were saying, and also I was saying, they kind of tie together, is eye contact.
Okay, let me explain really quickly. Oftentimes when you're learning a dance, one of the biggest corrections that you'll be given by an instructor is stop looking at the people around you. Because what happens if someone doesn't remember something is they look. And when you're dancing, you're supposed to use your peripherals to see where everyone is. You're never supposed to just be like, wait, where am I going? But I feel like when I was watching the debut stage, I could tell that they had gotten that note a lot, because there were times where they would like go by each other and I would be like, why did you just avoid eye contact with that person? They were looking away from each other. I was like, I don't understand.
Like when you're crossing, that's a perfect time and like a fine time to make eye contact with your member, and you're performing the song together on the same stage. But it's something that they've learned, and also as their concept and style has transitioned into these more ballad songs, they make a lot more eye contact with each other. Peyton was saying that like dance groups will do that, and especially my experience with like choral groups and like singing groups, when you make eye contact with each other, it just helps you lock in to the same wavelength and be on the same wavelength as each other even more. When everyone is on the same wavelength, when you're singing together especially, there's just like this synergy, like this energy in the air that's really hard to describe. Like everyone is just trapped in that moment, and like it is conveyed to the audience as well, even though you're not like super overtly being like, we're doing this together, wow,
I'm
just
sad.
like, I don't know how to put it into words, but it really just creates this energy.
Like in their debut stage, it felt like 7 individual people on stage all performing the same song. But then in like their more recent stuff, it feels like there's one like energy on stage rather than 7 different distinct energies. And that's very captivating for an audience.
But I guess that means we can start the last section, which is like concept/style, and we tie image into that too. And we've kind of touched on it as we've been making our comments, that BtoB has gone through various concept changes as a group before settling into this more like ballad vocal style that they have now. They debuted as like a typical idol boy group, especially like that style for that time period, and then they sort of went into more of like a hip-hop thing. But then they also had like their vocal ballad moment. I think almost over a year they were doing like this ballad vocal group, and then all of a sudden they released something that switched back into like this dance idol group. And I was really confused when that happened, because I was like, oh, I thought they had found their niche. Like they had even won awards. They win awards for being the best vocal group, so I was like, they're gonna stick with that. It's just really interesting how they like switch between those. I still don't fully understand why they switched between those, but I think as individuals, not even just for like their skill set, but also like individual image as well, I think that the ballad vocal group suits them the most.
I do think even when they went back to the more dancey songs, I feel like the image that the public had of them, they have solidly locked into this image that people have of them as like vocal idols, ballad idols. But that is super contrasted to their offstage image, because unlike a lot of groups where your onstage image and your offstage image kind of are like related or coincide, BtoB.
Because usually in K-pop, when you see like a duality, like difference in image on stage versus off stage, it's like, oh, we're super powerful and like intimidating on stage, and then off stage we're just like really sweet and cute and relatable. But BtoB's is like, we're really serious and in touch with our emotions on stage and like really 감성적인 people, you know. But then off stage it's like But anyways, yeah, that contrast is just like really interesting. It's really interesting because to my understanding, they are well known and well loved by the public for both sides too.
I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, we don't really know how to tie this up. But basically, those were all of our thoughts on BtoB, or not all of our thoughts, but a lot of our thoughts on BtoB's growth throughout the years from 2012 until now. So yeah, feel free to comment down below if you share the same opinions, if you have anything else to say, if you disagree with anything that we say, let us know. We are very curious and are interested in hearing people's thoughts as well.
That being said, if you enjoyed this video and if you also love BtoB, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe, ding, turn on your notification bell, and bye.
Bye.